Can an ideal marriage fall apart in an instant, seemingly out of nowhere? Absolutely. Yes, I've experienced it myself, and now I can tell you about it. Violet and I had known each other since school. We were in parallel classes and lived next door to each other. Our friendship gradually turned into love and eventually something deeper. Of course, we were each other's firsts. She waited for me to return from the army, then we went to college, and only after that did we get married. By the way, we paid for our wedding ourselves. We didn't ask our parents for anything. We lived on our own terms and didn't plan on having kids, at least not until we hit 30 or 35. We weren't interested in diapers and baby onesies just yet. We slowly saved up for the down payment on a house, but when we applied for a mortgage, it got rejected. So we decided to put everything in my dad's name for the time being, and once we paid it off, we transferred into our names, and oh, how lucky I thought I was at that moment. As time went on, our incomes grew, and we didn't rush to pay off the mortgage ahead of schedule. We bought one car, then another, but since I was working for myself as a programmer, the purchases were made in my parents' name to avoid any questions about our income. Why didn't we register anything under Violet's family name? Well, there wasn't anyone to do that with. Her parents had died in a car crash when they swerved into oncoming traffic on a slick highway. It was a massive loss for both Violet and me because I had grown to love and respect them deeply. It took Violet a long time to climb out of that dark pit of grief, but slowly we found our way back to a normal rhythm. Violet and I never fought. We always resolved things calmly. There were no petty arguments, and as I sometimes joked, it even got a little dull at times. Then, one day, something happened that I couldn't quite grasp. Out of nowhere, Violet had a meltdown. It seemed like there was no reason for it. She always went to the supermarket alone, shopped, loaded the cart into the car, and then brought everything into the house. I didn't mind that. It was easier for both of us. But this time, when I struggled to drag the cart to the car, she started yelling at me. "And these damn bags! I could have totally broken my back," she snapped. I tried to comfort her, but she pulled away, wiping away angry tears. "If you had just called me, I would have come. You could have figured it out yourself for once in your life," she yelled, suddenly standing up and heading for the door. "Where are you going?" I asked. "I'm exhausted. I'll stay with Aurora for now," Violet said, cutting herself off before leaving. Honestly, I've never felt more like a fool. Out of nowhere, she snapped at me and walked out. Seriously? Did she leave over something so trivial? I'm not an idiot. I knew there had to be more to it. But honestly, I didn't want to dig into it. She'll come around and tell me when she's ready. That's what I thought. A month went by without a word. I tried reaching out, called, texted, but Violet didn't answer. By the third week, I gave up. The silence stretched on for another 2 weeks. Then, one day, Aurora showed up at my door, the very best friend Violet had been hiding out with for the past 6 weeks. "Hey, Riley," Aurora said, practically squeezing through the door. I eyed her with a mix of curiosity and discomfort. I'd never been particularly fond of her, but now she rubbed me the wrong way even more. "What's up? Did Violet send you?" I asked. "No?" Aurora pouted, clearly enjoying herself. "Let's just say I'm here on my own." She plopped down on the couch and crossed her legs provocatively. "Aurora, just tell me straight," I said, trying to keep my cool. She hesitated for a moment, then, without warning, moved toward me and kissed me, her hand even trying to slide down my pants. I jumped back as if I'd been burned, yelling at her to get out. "You're an idiot," she snapped. "But I tried to save your marriage." She smirked, folding her arms. "Here's the deal. After Violet got through her parents' death, she decided she needed to spice things up, boost her self-esteem. She joined a dating site, and that date ended up going a lot further than she intended. She doesn't know how it happened, but now she's disgusted with herself and doesn't know how to face you. But hey, if you cheated on her, maybe you two could have started over." Aurora gave me a wink and a smile, as if she was proud of herself. "So, what's your point of view from this height?" she asked. "Come on, just get out, and take her stuff with you. Tell Violet to stay the hell out of my apartment," I snapped back. But, this isn't just your place, it's hers too," she argued. "This is my dad's apartment, and that car she drives around on dates? Yeah, that's mine too. Just have her drop the keys in the mailbox and stay the hell away from me. With that, I ushered Aurora out the door and slammed it shut behind her. At first, I felt nothing. I'd gotten so used to living without Violet that I didn't even register the absence. Sure, during the time Violet was playing the victim, there were some nagging thoughts. I always knew she wouldn't just leave like that, and now those suspicions were confirmed. For some reason, it felt easier. The divorce went quickly, especially since we had nothing of value left to share. Violet kept calling me, trying to reach me, but I didn't bother answering. I didn't want to give up the car. In the end, I had to threaten to get her arrested, let her explain herself to the police. That's when she finally threw the keys at me, shouting a couple of nasty insults. And that was it. I never saw it coming, but that's what happened. Life didn't stop there, though. Next Story Plaza watch Sebastian Carter had always considered himself a man of routine. At 45, he had built a life that mirrored the steady rhythm of his engineering career. Predictable, reliable, and comfortably numb. His wife, Harper, 43, was the vibrant counterbalance to his stoicism. Her laughter had once filled their suburban home with warmth, and her spontaneity had kept their 16-year marriage from sinking into monotony. Their daughter, Lily, 14, was a carbon copy of Harper, curious, outgoing, and fiercely independent. For years, their family had functioned like a well-oiled machine, or so Sebastian had believed. The first crack appeared on a Tuesday evening. Harper had returned home late from her part-time job at the local library, her cheeks flushed and her hair tousled by the autumn wind. She brushed off his questions with a laugh, blaming a last-minute book donation. But Sebastian noticed the way her eyes darted away when she spoke, the way her fingers fidgeted with the hem of her coat. That night, she initiated intimacy with an urgency that felt foreign, almost desperate. Sebastian didn't complain. How could he? But the seed of doubt took root. Over the next few weeks, Harper's behavior grew erratic. She volunteered for extra shifts, citing budget cuts at the library. She bought new lingerie, something she had dismissed as frivolous for years. Once, while folding laundry, Sebastian found a receipt for a downtown hotel buried in her purse. When he confronted her, she blinked, her expression a flawless mask of innocence. That's from the fundraising gala last month, remember? You were too busy to come. He nodded, swallowing the lie. The final straw came on the night of Lily's piano recital. Harper had promised to meet them at the school by 7 p.m. By 7:30, she was still absent, her phone rolling to voicemail. Lily's performance, a shaky rendition of Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata, ended to polite applause, but Sebastian barely heard it, his hands clenched around the program, ink smudging under his grip. When Harper finally rushed in at 8:15, breathless and disheveled, she blamed car trouble. Sebastian said nothing. He didn't mention the faint scent of cologne on her scarf, something woodsy and unfamiliar. The following Saturday, Sebastian decided to test a theory. Harper had left for a yoga class, a new addition to her schedule. He waited 10 minutes before tailing her, his knuckles white on the steering wheel. She didn't drive toward the studio. Instead, she parked 3 blocks from their neighborhood, outside a modest townhouse Sebastian recognized instantly. It belonged to Daniel Hartman, their daughter's soccer coach, a widower in his late 30s with a reputation for charm. Sebastian sat in his car, engine idling, as Harper knocked on the door. Daniel answered, his smile easy, his hand lingering on her waist as he ushered her inside. The world narrowed to the ticking of the dashboard clock. 20 minutes, 40, an hour. When Harper emerged, her hair was swept into a messy bun, her lips slightly swollen. Sebastian drove home in silence, his throat raw with unshed tears. That night, he waited until Lily was asleep before confronting her. Harper was in the kitchen, humming as she scrubbed a wine glass. The domesticity of the scene felt like a slap. "We need to talk," Sebastian said, his voice steady despite the storm inside. Harper turned, her smile fading at his tone. "About what?" "Daniel Hartman." The glass slipped from her hand, shattering on the tile. For a heartbeat, she stared at the shards, then met his gaze. "It's not what you think." "Really?" Sebastian crossed his arms, his jaw tight. "Because I watched you walk into his house today. You were there for an hour and 12 minutes. What's yoga like at Daniel's? Downward dog with a side of adultery? Her composure cracked. Sebastian, please. It just happened. I never meant to. How long? She hesitated, her fingers picking at the edge of her sleeve. Cheating Secrets podcasts like me